Tag, liebe Schülerinnen und Schüler. Ich grüße euch nochmal und hier ist unser zweiter Unterricht, Modalverben. Heute werden wir Modalverben lernen. Wir werden lernen, wie man die im Satz verwendet und auch wie solche Sätze strukturiert werden, wenn die Modalverben dabei sind. We have a new topic today, modal verbs. This topic we have learned so far. However, we will take a look today again the sentence structures when we use modal verbs in sentences. However, one main question appears, and this question is asked frequently: why do we use modal verbs, and do we need them? Why do we need them? So modal verbs are mainly used to talk about ability, to talk about possibility, advice, permission, wish, obligation, and in some other cases. And here I have given some examples, I have provided you with some examples to cover some of them. If we take a look at the first example, here I have used the modal verb können, and I have here discussed, or I have here mentioned, the ability of a player to play football. Our example is Cristiano Ronaldo kann sehr gut Fußball spielen. It shows that he is able to play very good football. In the second example, the same modal verb has been used, and here I'm talking about possibility. So es kann heute Abend regnen means it might be raining this evening, or it can be raining, or it can rain this evening. And there is another modal verb, to pay advice. We use to pay advice. This one is sollen. If you see one of your friends or acquaintance is not in a good health condition, you can pay advice by using sollen, and you can say du sollst zum Arzt gehen. In other case, we have müssen. Müssen is not an advice, it's kind of obligation. And when we use müssen, it's different than sollen, because it's kind of tough version of sollen. And if we say ich muss meine Hausaufgaben machen, it means this is my duty, that doing my homework, I must do my homework. Und teachers can say ich muss meinen Studenten etwas beibringen. Zum Beispiel, ich bin Deutschlehrer, I'm a German language teacher, and I can say it's my duty, ich muss meinen Studenten Deutsch beibringen. I must teach my students German. In case of permission, we must use, or we can use dürfen. So if we say Sie dürfen hier nicht parken, it means you may not park here, this area, this spot. In this spot it's not allowed to park your cars. And if we talk about wishes, desires, we have another modal verb, and by using möchten, we can say what we are wishing for or desiring. So we can say ich möchte eine Weltreise machen. This is a wish that I would like to make a world journey, a world tour. Here, as you see, modal verbs can be used in different cases, in different scenarios, and they have different meanings, and we are able to express different things by using different modal verbs. In our next slides, we are going to take a look at their usage. How should we structure our sentences if we have modal verbs in our sentences? I have given 3 examples, and in these examples, scenarios are different. So we have 3 cases here. If you take a look at the first example, here we have one verb. We don't have any modal verb or any auxiliary verb used in this sentence. And if the case is a one verb scenario, we can call it for today's lesson one verb sentences. In one verb sentences, our verb is the main verb here, and our main verb conjugates, and it means changes according to the subject. Our subject here is a pronoun, personal pronoun, ich, and sprechen is the full form of the verb in infinitive form. Sprechen changes to spreche, and we say ich spreche Deutsch, I speak German. In the second example, I have used modal verb, and in cases if we have modal verbs or auxiliary verbs in our sentences, in this case, these modal verbs or auxiliary verbs take the role of main verb and conjugate. As you see, the full form, let's say the infinitive form of our verb here is können, can modal verb, and können has changed according to our subject, according to our subject in the sentence, and our main verb has been used, or let's say has been located at the end of the sentence, and main verb will always stay in its infinitive form. In the third example, this case is kind of different. I have used here auxiliary verb haben, because as you know in English also, in order to build a present perfect tense form, we must use auxiliary verbs. Here our auxiliary verb is haben, and again haben has taken the role of our main verb, and in this case it's slightly different, because in this case we have used our main verb at the end of the sentence, but not in infinitive form. As you know in English grammar also, it's the same in German. If you build a perfect tense form, then you have to use participle to form of the verb. However, we will not discuss today perfect tense form. Our main grammar, our main focus will be on modal verbs. As you see here on the left side, as we mentioned before, we have called it one verb sentence. We have a verb sprechen, and what I have done here is changing, or let's say conjugating the verb sprechen according to the subject, and our subjects here are personal pronouns. We say sprechen is an infinitive form, but if we use ich, we have learned this grammar in our previous lesson, in the first lesson. Ich spreche Deutsch, I speak German. Du sprichst Deutsch, es spricht Deutsch. Wir sprechen Deutsch, ihr sprecht Deutsch, and sie, Höflichkeitsform, Respektform, sprechen Deutsch. On the right side, what you see, we haven't touched sprechen, we haven't changed sprechen. Indeed, what we have changed here is the modal verb. Why? Because I have explained this in the previous slide. Here, if we have two verbs in one sentence, the main verb will be located at the end of the sentence, and the modal verb will take the role of main verb and change according to the subject of our sentence. In the first example, you see ich kann. The full form is können. I will also provide you with all these modal verbs and how they change in next slides. But here, as you see, we have used können, and I have changed können according to personal pronouns, to the subject. Ich kann, du kannst, sie es kann, wir können, ihr könnt, sie können. Deutsch sprechen part will not change. Sentence structure with modal verbs. This is the most important part, and I did explain this in previous slides. Subject, and then what changed according to subject is our modal verb, because as we mentioned before, modal verb has taken the role of main verb here, and then we have other part of speech, and then in the end we have to locate our main verb at the end of our sentence. Example here is given: Wir können online viele deutsche Filme sehen. We can watch a lot of German movies online. Wir is our subject, können is our modal verb, and können changes according to wir, and then we have used other part of speech, and as we mentioned, we have located our main verb at the end in its infinitive form. Notes. If you know how to structure your sentence when you have a modal verb in it, it will be very easy, and you can apply this rule to all modal verbs. We said first, if we have a modal verb in our sentence, the modal verb will take the role of the main verb and conjugate according to the subject. And in this case, main verb will be located at the end of the sentence and will always be used in its infinitive form, regardless the subject of the sentence. Here, As we mentioned, we have modal verb scenario, and if you know this rule, you can apply it with all modal verbs. Alright, können we mainly use to talk about ability and possibility. You must learn how it changes by heart because all modal verbs belong to the category of irregular verbs. The modal verb müssen when we talk about obligation and one's duty, and you also have to learn this modal verb by heart. Then has the meaning of shall and should, and it's mainly used to talk about advice and obligation. Then may is mainly used to talk about permission. Wollen has the meaning want to, and from the meaning it's understandable, it's yet understandable that if you want to do something you use wollen. Let's say ich will Deutsch lernen. Willst du mitlernen? Do you want to learn with me? Or willst du etwas essen? Do you want to eat something? In this case we can use wollen. Mögen, and mögen has kind of a different structure because if you use modal verb mögen, by the way mögen means to like something, then we cannot put an action in the end. It means mögen cannot be used with verbs. You cannot say ich mag Fußball spielen, I like playing football, but you can only say I like football or I don't like football. So mögen plus noun combination. Möchten is also a slight different case because möchten is not a modal verb. However, I have put this with modal verbs because they have the same usage, and möchten is frequently used. Möchten is, let's say, wish form of wollen. If you say wollen, you say I want to do something, and möchten means you wish to do something, you would like to do something. And there is difference because wollen, when we use wollen, we talk in present simple tense form, but when we use möchten, then we talk in future. For example, I would like to become a businessman. I would like to do something. It means now it's not possible, it's a wish that you like, let's say, would like to achieve. Now this is the last slide, and you have also homework here. As you know, we have learned today 6 modal verbs and möchten, let's say 7 modal verbs, and your homework is writing 3 sentences per each. Thank you very much for your curiosity and for all your efforts that you watched this video and you learned something. Thanks a lot. Bye.